Start.
Go ahead. Okay. So anyways, I was either crying myself to sleep or crying myself awake. And this went on from 4th to 8th grade. And in 7th grade is when I found out that Jesus is not just human but God too. And then I felt stupid because I didn't know that. Kind of like in Aladdin when he found out that Jasmine was the princess. That's the way I felt when I found out Jesus was God. And I also misheard a statement and thought that God only forgives you one time when you ask, and after that you're screwed. So I thought maybe I should wait till my deathbed, but if I die till I'm old and on my deathbed, but if I die before then, what do I do? What do I do? And finally one night I felt so overwhelmed I just cried, and my mother told me that God will forgive as many times as I need it, and so I felt better. But one false comfort she tried to give me that I could never accept, and I truly credit this to God for not allowing me to accept this. Whenever Mom would hear me crying and I'd say, I had a nightmare about going to hell, or I'm scared of going to hell, she would say, oh, honey, you have a good heart and you're such a good person. God would never let you anywhere near hell. But it never comforted me. I was still worried about being good enough to go to heaven. And so then finally one day in 8th grade, I was at a youth retreat, and it was at a First Baptist, well, I don't want to name the church, but it was at a church, and one of the youth workers said, if you're not sure if you're going to heaven tonight, come talk to us and we can help you. I was there with a now former friend, and I went to go talk to the youth workers, but instead of taking care of business, they had all these kids surrounding them goofing off and socializing in their office when they should have kept the office open for the kids who needed to talk to them. And so I was waiting at the door to talk to the one guy, and then their kids in there basically started laughing at me. The kids basically started laughing at me, and I walked off to the water fountain and figured maybe I'd just come back. But then my former friend was all in a rush to leave, and she was, to say the least, she was a manipulator and a liar, and she just saw me as somebody to manipulate because I have Asperger's, which is a mild form of autism. And a few times she actually hit me just because I did or said some things she disapproved of. And I wondered if God was anything like her. And she was so legalistic, nobody at school liked her. Nobody. Not even the worst bullies at school liked her. Everybody hated her. But anyway, moving on. And so after that, I was thinking, I was scared because I was like, what if I go to hell tonight? What if I die and then end up going to hell? And then after that night, I came to the conclusion that perhaps I was just somehow predestined to go to hell, and there was nothing I could do about it. And so then I grew apathetic. And I still went to church sometimes because I enjoyed going, and always had. And I still tried to do the right thing because that's how I was raised. But I was pretty sure I was somehow predestined to go to hell and there was nothing I could do about it and I might as well just accept it. But around the second semester of my freshman year, things started to turn around. I was an outcast before I got to high school, but I got on as manager for the varsity girls basketball team, and these girls gave me a whole different view of the Lord, as most of them knew the Lord and as they were very strong Christians, and one of them in particular was one of my first spiritual mentors, and she helped me see a new side of God, His unrelenting love. She got me more involved in church, and I found out about quiet times, and I became enamored with God's love and began to seek Him ardently and daily, and got baptized a month before I got saved, because I figured maybe I knew the Lord, and I figured, why not? But I didn't fully understand what baptism was. But then Michelle, that's my first spiritual mentor, she convinced my parents to let me go to church camp, and she promised to look after me. And because my parents trusted her, they let me go to church camp, and Michelle was my roommate. Well, July 13th that night, there was a Christian magician there, and he did a Christian magic show, which was basically demonstrating the futility of trying to use moral and religious works to get to heaven, and how only faith in Christ will get you there, and we need to stop.